Thanks all for joining our breakout session. My name is Manjari Bhadra. I'm a director within our Salesforce PwC practice. I would like to welcome our panelists here, Ryan Brady, CIO of Select Health, Connor Woodward, Salesforce Program Director at Select Health, and Derek Steinman, our MVP for today. He's the program manager and product manager across contact center operations for this program. And Sid, my partner in crime, and the lead technical architect on this program when we delivered this. So Ryan, before we get into this, can you tell us a little bit about Select Health?
That'd be great. Can you hear me? I apologize, I lost my voice. Apparently sitting in loud rooms yelling to hear each other was detrimental for me last night. But so Select Health is a payer organization. We're part of Intermountain Health, so we are a wholly owned subsidiary of Intermountain. So if you're familiar with the Mountain West region, if you've ever been to Utah and if you've ever hurt yourself skiing, you probably went to one of our facilities, the parent company. And so we've been around for 40 years. Intermountain created the plan 40 years ago. We just celebrated that. That's a pretty exciting thing. So we have about 2,400 caregivers. You guys can see the slide, obviously. We are servicing about 1 million lives, a little over 1 million lives right now. And there's a piece that's not on this slide is we transact about $12 billion. So from a financial perspective, there's quite a bit of funds that we transact on behalf of our members. If you want to go to the next slide. So as we get into the conversation of why we did what we did, I'll just share something that's not on the slide, but I had the opportunity to sit in with one of our caregivers on the phones a couple years ago, and I saw multiple screens coming up, and they were clicking between screen 1 and screen 6, and window 7, and searching all over the place, and it was chaos to me. They were doing an awesome job. They were taking care of the person that was on the phone, but the experience looked horrible. It looked really rough, and there was an opportunity for sure for us to invest, and we had an opportunity based on the fact that we hadn't really invested in the experience of the person that was taking the call in quite some time. We had actually just finished transitioning over to Genesis on the back end, but we still hadn't impacted that person that was taking the call, and so that was a key element. The other key thing for us is we looked at our member data. We were using our billing system as our CRM, and that was not something that I wanted to continue doing. And so as we looked at using a CRM as a CRM, that provided the need for some change there. And for us, as we kind of looked across that whole landscape of, again, member experience, so when they call in, we know their information in a way that's seamless for them, ensuring that the caregiver that was taking the call didn't have to click on 1,000 screens. And so some of those attributes went into it. If you want to go to the...
I would add, Ryan, to that. When we started this journey back in 2024, Sid and I and the team, we had an opportunity to shadow some of the caregivers. And I was part shocked and part amazed at how these caregivers were navigating close to 18 different applications just to answer the simplest of inquiries. And that just meant we had to do something to improve their experience.
Yeah, and I'll throw in the fact that those different applications were all separate, disparate applications that we had to support. Yeah. So that was a big deal for us from an internal operations standpoint as well.
So Ryan, as we started this journey, what were some of the key value drivers and metrics that you and the enterprise were striving towards achieving?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's a couple aspects. Obviously, first and foremost, there's the financial aspect. So we think about our cost of doing business and what we're actually having to invest in. There's an aspect of support and maintenance, and so we wanted to ensure that we had a more seamless operations. The other thing that was a key driver for us is our after-call work times. That was a big deal for us. Again, if you think about the wrap-up time that it takes for our members or for our caregivers and the time that it takes from them to hang up and then answer the next call, that was lengthy because they were doing a lot of manual steps. That was one of the other drivers that I would say for us also. When you think about the integration of the touch points that we have with our members, we wanted to ensure that we had across our whole Salesforce ecosystem. We're still working on certain aspects of this, but we have some next best actions engines that are coming out of our marketing space. We have different touch points that come out of our fraud, waste, and abuse care areas and different parts of the business that we're reaching out to the members, and we didn't have good visibility into all those touch points. And so we were working on ensuring that there was that kind of continuum of where are we sending letters, who's sending what, and so that if they call in, we already know some of the things that they've been contacted with.
Absolutely. To create a scalable platform, we definitely need a strong architecture foundation. And I will say in the journey over the last 1.5 years with Select Health, one thing that I've been really amazed with is Select Health's willingness and readiness to accept and have those tough conversations on what is the right thing to do and do it the right way, even if it takes a few more minutes and a few more days. Connor, how would you say, from a technical architecture standpoint, what were some of the key highlights and decisions that were made that helped us make this journey successful?
Oh, sure. Thanks for the question. First, I need to outline that we had already gone through some transformation journeys in our Salesforce environment that helped us kind of learn and frame the way that we needed to approach contact center and highlight some of these key decisions and areas to make sure that it was successful. And so we knew in order to deliver on what Ryan had just mentioned, to get to a true single pane of glass, that we aren't going to have all of our data in one place. There's going to be a ton of different sources. And so having a strategic backbone behind our APIs and where we're getting all of that data was important to us. So we have 37 integrations via Salesforce and MuleSoft that allows us to not only scale, but to onboard new experiences without really affecting our operations at a high level. So, but also from an omni-channel perspective, we have delivered 6 different channels. And what this really does, it allows us to have a seamless experience across multiple different ways that our members are trying to contact us. And so allowing us to really meet our members where they are, but also evolve as their preferences change. Some of the other things in terms of trying to be future ready, obviously AI is everywhere, and there's still some question marks here, but some of the big important things that we're really excited about that we're hoping to share with you today is we have 4 AI use cases that we're already live with that have helped lay the foundation in order for us to continue to build on those AI cases going forward to scale without having to re-architect the system every time that we come forward with a new idea. The fourth item here on the screen, I don't feel like it does enough justice, but really the number one thing that all of us asked as we went into this project is like, we have to make the experience for the caregivers simpler. There's so much going on, especially in the healthcare landscape. It's always changing. There's always new rules, new regs coming out, and our poor caregivers are on the phone probably have the most difficult jobs out of anyone. And so that was our mantra going out, was we need to make this simpler. And so aligning with our vision as a CRM and our Center of Excellence at Select Health around Salesforce is we need to get to a 360-degree view. And that's not only around our members, but in our multi-tenant environment, we've got provider data, we've got broker data, we've got all of our membership plan data, but not only inside the health cloud, but retrieving it from other sources as well so that we can deliver on the next best actions or understand the journeys, however vast they may be different across our membership, our caregivers know where they are and can best deliver care. Probably the most important thing here to make sure that we knew going into this, being in a healthcare environment, is we need to be compliant and secure. So the platform that was developed is HIPAA aligned, allows us to scale securely and being aligned and compliant along the way. And the last thing, super proud of this, great shout out to Derek and his team as well as our partners with PwC, is we led with the configuration first model, though that did require us to think differently and to not just plug and play. We had this process, this workflow in our old way of thinking, and we just need to shove that somehow into our contact center with Salesforce. We did a really good job, I feel like, with change management and preparation coming into. We need to really transform to do this and to make it so that the maintenance and the overhead was minimized and reduced, and allows us to really kind of adjust and react to the business as it changes much quicker than we were used to doing before. All that could not have been done without a strong collaboration approach in my mind at Select Health across our entire enterprise. It wasn't just our contact center folks that were involved, teams across our architecture data security, as well as some strong guidance and support from our Salesforce Center of Excellence and our other product managers here that share that instance. We're all keenly aware and supportive of what we were trying to do in the big picture. And obviously, with great guidance and help from our team from PwC, helped us get to where we are today.
Can I throw something?
Absolutely.
Not to disrupt you too much, but just on that configuration first conversation, I just want to share briefly my mindset in that space. I have worked for several corporations throughout my career. This is actually my 7th industry, some you might recognize, but I will say I have seen multiple times enterprises that invest in a new platform, and then the people that they have implement the new platform are the people that are on the existing platform that they're looking to replace. And those people that look to implement the new platform start doing the same things that they've always done on the new platform. And then everybody, everybody gets pissed off that the new platform does the same thing the old one did. And so that aspect of configuration and ensuring that we're configuring the new platform the way it was designed and built, which is why we bought it in the first place, as opposed to doing all this customization to get it back to the way the old platform was, is a big deal. So just throwing it out there.
Absolutely.
100%.
And that's a great point. It's how we keep an open mindset when we are defining the future state vision across functional and technology aspects of it. So shout out to Derek as well for this when we were defining these workflows, to Ryan's point, we kept the forward-looking mindset. Don't do things the old way. Let's think about standardizing the processes across the different lines of business. That was definitely key to supporting our config-first approach. Let's move to some fun stuff on architecture. So we started this journey in April of 2024 with a shovel-ready discovery. So from discovery to delivery in 9 months. Sid, can you tell us how we accelerated this transformation and what were some of the end-to-end architecture highlights?
Yeah, thanks, Manjari. So I think when we started this journey, we did our shovel-ready, which is a discovery phase. We wanted to design big, but implement small in different chunks. And you heard loud and clear that caregivers were using almost 15 plus applications, and they were really juggling. So that really gave us the perspective, like, we have to simplify the experience by bringing everything into the Health Cloud and enabling with different integrations. And also, like, this org already had a provider management and sales application. So we had to be really mindful in terms of like how we will build system. It was a brownfield implementation for us. So what we did is, like, we led with some of the key guiding principles, which we generally use whenever we do transformation project at PwC for Salesforce. We actually enable a foundational data model and keeping AI in our mind, making sure that we have the right data from a get-go. We follow 80-20 rule, 80 configuration, 20 customization. You saw at the end of the implementation, we're able to achieve actually 15%. And then also, we really strongly recommended MuleSoft as part of the discovery, because we know that we're building 35 plus integrations and we want to make it scalable and we want to move fast. And Ryan really supported us and brought MuleSoft as a platform. And then we definitely leverage a lot of Health Cloud out-of-the-box capabilities to really combine the data, the voice, and some of the automation, which was AI-first architecture. Now, when we designed this overall system, it was not just around system. We want to design around people. We want to make sure that it's a one-stop shop for caregivers or supervisors, where they can do day-to-day job, day-to-day operations, and also make sure that this is going to be their single application. They don't have to juggle in different areas. And what it really helped to enable a lot of different channels, be it from phone, mobile app, SMS, emails. We wanted to build all the workflows seamlessly so that when the providers are calling on the behalf of members or members are calling, they get a very consistent and very seamless experience across the channel. Now, from an application layer standpoint, we actually led with some of the PwC Payer Contact Center Accelerator, which we actually built working with other payers. And that was our starting point. And we worked with Derek to really understand what are the process transformation, and then tailored those different process for the business need. We used heavily Omni Studio here. Like we challenged ourselves, like Member 360, which we will build, we will use flex cards everywhere, and we really had a strict governance so that we don't customize, build LWC component where we really need it. Now because this application has to go different LOBs and different bots, and then eventually we have to go to different business division for pharmacy. We actually establish some of the key guiding principles around case management as well. We segregated by different record types, and we enabled some of the knowledge management as well, keeping different LOBs in mind. One of the game changer, I would say, the decision which as a team we took was not going OpenCTI, went to Service Cloud Voice with Genesis. Yes, 1.5 years back, it was a new product, so we had our own learnings. But what it really did, it actually provided us a real-time transcripts, sentimental analysis in real time. And when you want to enable AI features, we actually stand up 4 agents for summarizing calls and summarizing the conversation catch-up, which Derek will talk about. That was really easy to enable those. And then a lot of next best action, which was launching different Omni scripts, which we created. We actually took a decision to go OpenAI because from a LM model standpoint, and we also built some custom prompts specifically, keeping empathy in mind, keeping like how they take notes overall. So we built custom prompts as well overall. And then MuleSoft was a backbone. We built 35 plus integrations, 12 different sources. Every system had their own challenges, but we really kept in mind that we will not write any bad job. We will be API first. We will be built.
I thank you for that.
Yeah. we really made sure that like either it's going to be real time, near real time, or event-driven architecture we will adopt, and we were able to successfully implement all the patterns. And because we want to use middleware, we want to have Salesforce very lightweight, and making sure all the heavy orchestration transformation would be available in MuleSoft. And now actually those APIs can be available enterprise to other upstream application as well. From a security standpoint, we implemented Shield. We had identified PHI, PIF fields upfront, and then we also enabled using Ping Federate, the SSO for the caregivers, and we had implemented connected app using OAuth and OpenIDC overall. Now, the idea was from a get-go, right? When we will go live, we want to make sure that like caregivers work smarter. They focus on conversation with the members, and AI will really help to document and to prep and to close the calls overall. And what we saw within 3 months, like members were getting faster and more personalized support. And at the end of the day, we don't want to make this architecture about just technology. We wanted to make sure we empower our caregivers. We build intelligence, and then empathy and simplicity overall. That's about it.
That's all.
great.
Just it.
That's all.
That's all. So just 9 months to do it, but I think this sets the foundation for adding more LOBs, more capabilities to the Salesforce Health Cloud instance that we have live today. Derek, let's move to you. So tell us, as SID's architecture was brought to life, what were some of the key impactful business capabilities that went live on the platform that you're proud of?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things to be proud of. So, like the others before me have mentioned, we definitely designed and went into our implementation with Salesforce and our wonderful partners, PwC, with reducing that complexity in mind, right? So really, we wanted to form this member 360 view. I know you guys have probably heard that 360 term a ton this week. We're like really on brand with that. But yeah, it's exactly what our caregivers needed, right? As others mentioned, they were multitasking across multiple applications. So as you can kind of see in this account design here, Member 360 view, we really worked and gathered feedback and, really went down to that frontline level to kind of understand what that ideal experience should be. And that really is bringing in all the key pieces of data and elements and things that it takes to handle the wide variety of interactions that we have as an insurance plan. So that 360 view was huge. And just to kind of point out a couple things that you might be seeing, right? So as far as pulling in claims and those integrations that we talked about, kind of going through MuleSoft, or we even have an indicator that indicates whether they have a online account through our online portal. All those things are kind of firing seamlessly in the background as the caregiver is handling that interaction. And then it's happening seamlessly so they can just jump right into their phone call or chat or secure message. So we're really proud about that. And like Sid had just mentioned, we really put a focus on AI-generated call summaries. Again, where the call handle time, and then we have a status called call completion. So much of our requirements around, how a caregiver notates and tracks their phone calls and interactions was really adding to that overall handle time, right? It's important that we do that step though, because not only is that helpful for our caregivers in the department to know, what was discussed on a previous interaction, or maybe we have other departments such as our appeals or grievances that are reviewing these notes as well. But we knew that was really the area that we could focus on to really drive down, that overall handle time. I'll be going into a little bit more detail on that in a little bit, but we're super proud of that. And like Connor had first pointed out, that omni-channel intake was pivotal as well. I use the word pivotal as a pun for pivot because we didn't want our caregivers to pivot anymore. So receiving, a phone call and having to pivot to Genesis or a chat or somewhere else, that takes time away from the interaction. So having that CX cloud of Genesis and Salesforce package working together to seamlessly provide that omni-channel experience is really a big piece for our caregivers. Routing and queues was also something that we put a lot of focus on. I've always come from an operations background. For those of you that are familiar, we're really good about putting band-aids on processes, right? Like if a problem comes up, we'll come up with an email template to send to an inbox and it'll be messy, but we'll get the job done. But as you guys know, that's a very inefficient way to try to do work. You've got a lot of admin handoffs that happen in that process. Once it goes to that inbox, you lose reporting, who's working it, who's accountable for this. So we really put a focus on, when a case is created, how do we want to route that case? Where does it go to a case queue? Who's responsible for that? What are the reports and dashboards that we can set up to monitor those cases once they're in that queue so we can hold the right people accountable? We also have a number of alerts. You can see that in the top right-hand corner. Again, these are contextualized alerts. We have a wide variety of line of businesses and product lines and plans, right? So those can be very specific depending on a Medicare member or like a self-funded or large employer member calling in. So contextualized alerts are a great way for our caregivers to have that quick attention when the account comes through and understand kind of what they're dealing with. Or, we just recently added one where if we had a grievance or an appeal submitted by a member in our front line, they'll get that indication right away. That way they know, hey, we've recently done this. They might be calling in about this, or there could be a follow-up situation to that as well, and they know that right off the top. So we've also built in a number of different knowledge recommendations. So again, this is a good also AI use case where we built knowledge articles around certain cases and case flows. I'll keep using kind of an appeals and grievance example. So creating a case for an appeal or grievance, there's a lot of nuances to that process. So being able to define a couple fields on the case, such as our type or subtype that help drill down to that specific case, we can recommend a knowledge article that's 100% relevant to that grievance case. And that way, if a caregiver has questions, they can easily click and find that without having to do an additional search. And then, like I mentioned, obviously this comes with a number of different reports and dashboards. Very important for our caregivers to understand, like, what are their open cases? How long have they been open? Are these meeting the SLAs that we've defined within those cases? Do our supervisors have that transparency into those cases? So when they pull up their Salesforce, their home page also has a dashboard that's showing their team cases based on rules. All of that infrastructure and best practice was really piled on top of each other, so we weren't losing a step when we went forward with Salesforce. And then just the last thing, and I've kind of pointed this out already, guided case flows were huge for us. And I'd kind of made the comparison to like an Outlook email template. You know, we really tried to look at a lot of those and say, okay, what are the things that we have to get right? What is the information that we have to gather from a guided case flow? So when our caregivers on that call with a member, they're able to ask these certain questions, gather that certain information, and then all that information from the flow is then automatically thrown into a case note. There's no more tracking there. So you're getting that automatic case note on top of call summarization. And then we can even build off escalation flows to that. So once let's say again, a grievance is submitted and it's a timely grievance, well, based on the criteria within that grievance, we might have to escalate that to our appeals department. So that case flow then ends with an email with those details to our appeals department, so they have that seamless handoff as well. So again, a ton of features that really build on top of each other.
And I will add, Derek, we had the opportunity to be in person for the first week of Hypercare. So we actually saw all the caregivers using the platform live for the first few days, and it was a remarkable shift in how they use the platform, and just it was boosting their confidence and having all the information available to them at their fingertips. Derek, we'll move. I know you already put in a plug for AI use cases.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what were the first use cases you decided to go after and why, and what does your future roadmap look like?
Yeah, we're super excited about this. Again, on brand, you know, everything is about AI. So, but we really wanted to take that step. You know, it was one thing to go live with Salesforce, but it's another to really tap into the technology that's available. And again, we knew that call summarization was going to ultimately be one of our biggest value drivers. It's where the data wasn't lying to us. It's where we saw our caregivers spending time. We saw how it impacted their interactions and phone calls. So we really put a focus on these detailed call summaries. And that first screenshot just kind of helps highlight what we've built. So this is obviously the front end experience of that. So as a call is wrapping up, a caregiver has their voice call record. We receive attributes from that Genesis package for the call ending. And that's when our flow kicks off. It essentially goes into the back, looks at our AI prompt process that we built and how we defined it, pulls in that information from the transcript that Sid had kind of pointed out that is coming in, again, from that Genesis piece, looking at that call transcript and summarizing it how we want it. So on the back end, to speak to the, kind of the ease of setup, right? When we were setting this up with our PwC partners, it was a lot of fun. We knew we were doing like some really groundbreaking stuff to say like, okay, we're giving this agent instructions that you are an agent that is summarizing phone calls, and we want you to go in and look for any names that are mentioned in this phone call, any questions and answers that are in this phone call, pull those out separately and highlight those, any compliments, any complaints, any dates of service, any benefits quoted, and we kind of layered it out that way. So when it's looking at that transcript, it's pulling in that information, and again, doing that seamlessly once the voice call record ends. I won't jump too far ahead with the statistics, but again, we've seen a lot of really positive improvement in our area as far as our detailed summaries go, so we're really proud about that one. The other one that Sid had alluded to as well is our conversation catch-up. So this is a really nifty feature. So if one of our caregivers within our department transfers to another caregiver in Salesforce, again, those transcripts transfer from one to another, and they're also getting that summarized conversation catch-up. So this makes that warm transfer or even those cold transfer situations a lot more seamless, so they can see what was already discussed. And then in return, it provides that better member experience. We're not having to ask the same questions twice. We kind of know what was already spoken about. We can see that history of the conversation, and they can jump in where they're specifically needed in that interaction. We also have next best actions as well. The one that I want to point out today, again, is another contextualized version of a next best action. So, you know, for communication preferences, right? How we communicate with our members is huge. That's important. We've built where if we've recognized a member hasn't set their communication preferences ever or for a certain amount of time, this next best action prompt will reflect on the member account page when an interaction comes through, and a caregiver can hit approve or accept on that NBA, and they're taken right to that guided case flow to then update those communication preferences while they're on the phone with the member. Not only does this help kind of close this gap for us, but it also, again, creates that case, that automatic note. They don't have to track that, and all that is saved on the back end. on our marketing cloud side of things as far as how we keep those preferences for our members. And then lastly, again, we do have the Agentforce AI Assistant, super nifty, right? So just that top right-hand corner, you click that, you get your Agentforce pane. Caregiver can be on that Member 360 page and say something in natural language like summarize this account or show me the open cases or recent open cases for this account. And it'll summarize those for our caregivers so they don't have to go and click through their service history. So we're excited to keep tapping into that potential and use cases for our caregivers in that realm. But again, all of that is at their fingertips today, and we've seen a lot of success with it.
That's great, Derek. And I would also add here, like Derek mentioned in the first use case, we were building an agent for the first time. We were writing the prompt, seeing what's the outcome, not feeling too good about it, going back and changing it. So there was a little bit of feedback loop involved. It's critical to just see, to increase adoption, you need to let that agent show some outcomes. If you don't like it, go back, keep iterating on it. That's
Absolutely.
the key. Derek, tell us about some of the measurable outcomes that you started to see. I mean, we've been live on the platform since February of 2025. I know we started seeing some of those initial improvements in call handle time even within the first month. What are some of those highlights for you?
Yeah, this is the exciting slide. I know it's the slide that Ryan probably likes the most because it's one thing to implement Salesforce and get all these bells and whistles and spend a lot of time, kind of building it. But what are your actual results? What is driving value? What are the differences it's going to make in your, your contact center? And just again, for a timeline reference, we went live with our implementation in February, and it was a phased rollout. So all of our caregivers have really been in Salesforce since March until now. So 7 months isn't a ton of time, but we've already seen a lot of changes just in that short amount of time. So again, when we look at the reduction of call handle time, we've seen an overall reduction of about 50 seconds, which is huge. With the thousands of calls that we take in a month, in a year, right, that adds up really quickly. A lot of that handle time is again associated with that call wrap-up piece. So the voice piece is one thing, but what are they doing after in that after call wrap-up or call completion window? And again, we've seen a huge decrease in that time there. Same with our hold times, right? Because we put such an emphasis on how our caregivers were notating their calls. If they get on like a long or what we call marathon calls, right? A provider wants to talk about multiple claims or member has kind of a wide variety of questions, they could get overwhelmed easily. And knowing they had to track those calls, again, they're going to have a defense mechanism to say, this is getting overwhelming. I'm going to put you on hold either to look up information or to catch up on my note tracking, which again, we're not a big fan of, but I get it. We've designed kind of a way where they had to do that to kind of help themselves. So we really wanted to eliminate that, obviously, with our detailed summaries. And now that they don't have to worry as much about notating and tracking a certain way, they can focus more on the information at hand and less about putting a member on hold to catch up on their notes. Because of the simplicity and reducing the complexity and the navigation that was happening, we've also seen an increase in our audit average in this short amount of time. We were also able to kind of revamp our audit criteria. Obviously, we had a lot of tracking requirements that had to happen prior to this, and we were able to scrap a lot of those and really, again, have the caregiver focus more on the information at hand, which again, we've seen a positive result in our audit averages. And then lastly, just to kind of share a staggering number in my opinion, we took a measurement period this summer, really from June, July, August, looked at those months specifically with the amount of time of call completion that was used in 2024, compared it to this year. And we saw a staggering decrease of about 1,175 hours less than last year. And you might be thinking, well, your staff might have been different or your call volumes were lower this year. It was actually the opposite. We had a higher call volume during that same time frame this year, but we still saw that decrease because, again, our caregivers were able to focus more on the call and less about that notation after the call. So really excited about that. And again, those statistics at the bottom, it just speaks to the scalability of the platform as well. We've got a lot of caregivers, 550 plus at this point, working in Salesforce, taking these interactions, 120,000 cases a month, right? 110,000 interactions. So all of this we've been really impressed with the scalability of it and how well it's continuing to perform as we continue to add caregivers.
That's very impactful. Thanks, Derek. Tell us, and also the audience, if they are going through the same transformation in the future, how would you envision a phased rollout? What were some of the components you kept in mind in prioritizing things first, second, and third?
Yeah, this was really important for us. Whenever you're making such a giant leap, from a billing system that's not supposed to be a CRM to Salesforce, you have to take it in chunks. We knew that we wanted to start with a core MVP phase, right? We knew that we wanted our caregivers to go live with something that not only they could do the work that they were currently doing, we certainly didn't want to create any new gaps, but we also obviously wanted to add and layer on those enhancements as well. This MVP phase was huge because there's definitely a certain amount of pressure that you have to get right. But at the same time, you also can't be, kind of frozen by that fear as well. We knew that we wanted to fast follow our MVP phase with kind of a critical enhancement phase as well. As much as testing and things that you can do kind of in a UAT environment and with a limited scope of caregivers, you're never going to quite get the same amount of feedback when you start releasing that to your hundreds of caregivers. And we knew that going in. So again, we started with that core MVP phase. We really focused on kind of two main channels for voice and secure message. Our guided case flows were huge. Again, we knew between that and call summarization, we were going to drive down a lot of that handle time right off the bat, and we certainly did. And then again, once we went live, we focused more on that critical enhancement phase. So we gathered feedback from our caregivers. We were able to see, where are we coming up maybe short on some of those flows. Maybe we needed to make a tweak to some fields because our grievance flow wasn't quite giving us the reporting we needed. We were able to quickly turn around things like that in that critical enhancement phase. And we also added some additional channels as well. This is where it kind of came full circle with omni-channel. We added in our chat and SMS channels, so that way we didn't have any more swivel points with our caregivers. So when those interactions came in, they stayed within Salesforce, which was really important. And then lastly, we just recently did a pharmacy expansion as well, last month in fact. So the awesome thing about this, right, is all these phases build on top of each other and were served as a foundation. So we were able to bring in our pharmacy area, use the same components that we already built for our member service area, but just make those key tweaks like, is this something that pharmacy uses? Is this a view or a page layout change that we need to do because it's not conducive to the work they do? Or what are the guided case flows that they need for maybe filling a prescription or checking a certain pharmacy related benefit that's not relevant to medical and dental. We were able to make those changes really easy because of the knowledge that we gained, but also because of the template that we have already built on previous phases. So again, just really speaks to our partnership with PwC and kind of our continuous kind of foundation building that we've had with each phase.
Really appreciate that shout out, Derek. Wrapping these things up, what were some of your lessons learned from this multi-phased initiative? And if you were to do this all over again, what would you do differently? Yeah, this is probably my favorite question, honestly, and I'll give you guys a little bit of insight. So I was at Dreamforce last year, sitting in the same seats, right? Like looking for sessions of like, I'm in the middle of an implementation, I'm scared, I don't know what's happening, like I've got a lot of decisions that I'm making. Is this gonna go right? Like a lot of unknowns at the time. And I was obviously looking for experience, from other payers that were going maybe through something similar, had gone through something similar, and there's certainly a lot of lessons that we learned along the way. The biggest ones that I wanted to point out really were, you do have to have that business alignment from a leadership standpoint, So very early on, we designated myself and a project manager within the business to really help lead and strategize and guide kind of the key decisions, because PwC, we had a lot of meetings, right? And they were heavy because we had a lot to get through, and you need someone that's willing to make decisions. Or if you're not, there were plenty of times where I knew I wasn't a sole decision maker, and I had to take that back to maybe my business leadership group. We knew that those roles and responsibilities were clear up front, so we could work through those decisions in a timely and effective manner. So having those roles and responsibilities and defining those as early as possible is huge when you go through an implementation project as big as we did.
And then the other one that I really enjoyed, and I think it's something we did right, was including frontline caregivers, right? Again, we've got caregivers who take Medicaid calls, Medicare, large employer, small employer, individual, dental. We had frontline caregivers joining these refinement sessions with us and grooming sessions and demos. And really, because I have been too far disconnected from the phones at this point in my career, there's no way I can design a solution for our frontline caregivers and their day-to-day work because I'm out of touch with it at this point. So we had to get them involved to make sure that we were designing something that was actually speaking to the work that they did and not what I thought they needed. So that was huge. Establishing that architectural consistency and really those principles was big as well. Again, as Connor pointed out, we're a multi-tenant facility. We're not new to Salesforce in terms of our organization, but Contact Center was. And a lot of the components that we were leveraging within our Member 360 relied on what our sales area built or relied on our provider side of things, and building some of those components around those shared objects and things like that were really important. It was important that we weren't just designing for the short term, right, Sid? That when we were designing for the future, we weren't putting ourselves in kind of a hole where we were throwing away wasted work. So having those guiding principles was huge as well. Defining dependencies as well was massive. Again, as Sid pointed out, we had 30 plus integrations happening, right? So anything from ordering an ID card in a system, right? That's a different value stream. That's a different group. So what is the information we need to pass to them in order to send an ID card and then pass that information back so our caregivers know it was successful? There were many use cases like that where we were sending information or had to know what that criteria was. And having those conversations months in advance, well before any development sprints happen, we had to do that because we didn't want to put ourselves in a position where once we got to that development sprint, we were like, what are we supposed to do? Or like, what data do we need, you know? So it was really important to kind of keep everyone aligned there. And again, I can't give enough plugs for PwC. They had that foresight to ensure that those conversations happened in a timely manner and that when we got to those development sprints, we didn't run into any barriers. These last pieces all kind of come together. Again, that continuous feedback loop was huge for us. Getting caregivers involved in our demos. We have meetings called ITAB, or It Takes a Village. We kind of look at our member services as a village, right? We do everything as a village. So we had multiple sessions of that where we would pull caregivers in, talk to them about the changes, you know, tried to make it as clear as possible. This is not another browser application tab you're just going to pull up when you need it. This is your centralized and how you're going to do your work. And you'd be amazed how many times we had to really point that out for caregivers to let that sink in. And we started that 6 to 8 months, like well in advance before their actual training, because we really wanted to avoid as many surprises as possible. But that feedback loop is huge in order as far as change management, which really leads kind of into those two ones. And again, that training and change management and communication is massive. I don't think you can communicate enough. We've got 20 plus teams. That's a lot of leaders. That's a lot of leads on those teams. The amount of meetings that we had to have as far as aligning everyone with what the changes are and how the changes are going to impact, not only within our department, but also other areas as well, right? There's a lot of areas that tap into what member services does. So meeting with them to also talk about the impact that it's going to have was huge as well, and something that I think we did well, but I think if there was an area where I would say we could have done better looking back, it was how are those other departments going to be impacted by this change? I don't think until the work actually changes for them, that's when you can start peeling back the layers to be like, oh, you were relying on us for that? Good to know, and now we kind of have to adjust. So trying to ask as many questions up front was important. And then lastly, I'll just point out again, that continuous learning is huge. Again, we did a 2.5 day training when we went live. We brought all the caregivers back into the office. Some of them didn't love it, but we knew how important it was to bring them with that in-person experience, because again, this was a massive change for them. And then that continuous learning is so important because now we're 7 months down the road. They already started to kind of regain that new muscle memory for handling their different interactions, but I'll see at least one question a day where they think they're doing something or they'll ask for an enhancement, and I'll be like, well, that actually already exists, and it's just kind of that training gap and reminder that we need. So yeah, continual learning, really leaning in from all areas of our leadership to help with that learning is really important. So.
Totally agree. Ryan, anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I know we're right at the last minute, but I will say for us, I mean, we couldn't be happier where we are right now. We've got some opportunities, obviously. I think one aspect that hasn't been discussed is turnover for our caregivers. This is a better experience for them. So you think about the people that actually work in a call center, they're not super excited to use old technology. And they're not super excited to have 13 windows that they have to click on to try to find what they need to do. So that retention aspect, even for the people that are taking the calls, is a big deal for us as well. And so that is an attribute of this whole project, is retaining the folks that are doing the work that ultimately, and I know I kind of made a statement earlier that, you know, the cost was a big deal. That is a big aspect of this, but for us, first and foremost, it's about our members. We want to make sure that that member experience is as solid and positive as it can be, because as y'all know, if you have to call your health insurer, it's not usually a fun call. And so we try to make sure that that is a positive experience for you when you do have to make that call. So that's a big deal.
Absolutely. And I would also add to this, we've been on this journey for the last 1.5 years and have had several releases enhancing the capabilities that the caregivers get at the end. It's not an end to the journey. It is the mindset I would go with is you want to continue evolving. And so there's always an opportunity to improve, add more capabilities as Salesforce comes up with new features and functionality. You want to keep your system current, so this is an opportunity to keep growing. So with that, I think we are right on time. A big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And hope the audience got some sort of a starter kit. If you're undergoing this transformation or want to, stop by after this. We will be here for 10-15 more minutes and would love to talk more. Thank you and have a great rest of your Dreamforce.